All right, welcome back to another video. So in this video, I'll be basically going over on the Legacy Prime suite of indicators. So we'll begin with my newest and latest flagship known as the Flux Engine. It's actually called the Flux Engine version 2.0. So add that to your chart. Takes a few seconds to load up. There we go. So as you can see, I'm actually on the 5 minute time frame MNQ. So you go to your settings tab. You want to go to style. I prefer to actually uncheck this box and put it in status line because it actually looks kind of ugly. So this extra data is not really needed. So I'm gonna uncheck that. And also these, by long exit signals, they're not needed either. So I'm going to also uncheck them because we already have the strategy long and exit signals anyway from the strategy. So these are not needed. It just makes the chart look ugly or clutter and just too redundant. So I like to keep them off. Properties, this will depend on person preference, default order size. If you're trading M and Q, I usually keep as 2, but this will depend on your own personal preference. For evals, I like to keep as 3 for evals, but for funded accounts, I like to keep as 2 for the contract size. But of course, this will depend on personal preference on whatever you're comfortable trading with. After order is filled, I usually keep this unchecked. On bar close, make sure this is checked by default. And I usually have these two check as well for deep back testing. If you have the premium plan, you can use this, but if you don't have the premium plan, you won't be able to actually use the bar magnifier. Okay. Then go to inputs tab, runtime profile. This is just another name for presets. Okay. Um, I personally use the M&Q 5 minute ETH. So if you select that, make sure you are on M&Q and also the 5 minute time frame. If you're using the 5 minute preset for M&Q. But when you actually have this selected, it will actually ignore the rest of these default settings. Okay, so it does not matter what you actually change, it's not going to reflect because you're on the preset. Okay, does that make sense? So when you're on the preset, it does not matter what settings you change, it's not going to change anything on the chart if a preset is selected. Okay, so that's what I personally use. And as you can see on my Top Step account, this is on my 50K Express funded account. You can actually ignore this first week because I was testing a different indicator the first week. Second week, I'm not sure why it's not showing. Oh, there we go. So the first week, I ended up in profit $144, but this was using a different indicator, not the Flux Engine. The second week, this was using the Flux Engine and it banked me 1.2K. This week, all winning trading days besides one. So I still ended the week in profit, 659. So I got over $2,000 in balance, 100% fully automated using the Flux engine. Okay. And you can easily automate this. So it took a long trade, exited. Long trade, exited. It's self-explanatory, okay? So if you look at the strategy report, if you do pass last 7 days, so last 7 days was actually a loss, 50%. So last 7 days was not that good. Do last 30 days, updating report. Takes a couple of seconds. There you go. So last 30 days was a lot better. Almost 2K in P&L, 1K drawdown, 58%. Profit factor 1.1. Let's do last 90 days. So last 90 days was 60% with 1.3 profit factor. P&L was 8K, drawdown was like 1.4K, so not bad. It does actually give you this caution, and this strategy may use look ahead buys, which can lead to unrealistically profitable results. You can actually ignore this. This is actually non-repainting. When I actually coded this, the coding was actually non-repainting. And the results on the back test was actually accurate. You can actually ignore this. It does actually say this on a lot of strategies, so it's nothing to actually be concerned with. As you can see, my Flux Engine got me over $2,000 in balance, and it actually reflected the results as well. So you can ignore that. So nothing to be concerned about. But of course, it can still take losing trades, and it can also it can also give you some losing days as well. So no strategy is 100% perfect. It can take losing days and as well as losing weeks. But as long as the consistency is there and your account, it can grow. Okay. But let's say you want to actually do your own setting. I would say M&Q may be the best for the Flux engine. But let's say if you want to do your own setting, the execution kernel risk metrics is just if you want to do points, ticks. If you're using forex, then of course you want to do pips. But if you're trading futures, either points or ticks. I personally use points. Target delta, that's just another name for profit level or target profit or profit target. So you can do 20 points for TP or 30 points. That just depends on you. Failure threshold, this is just another name for basically stop loss. So if it's 4, you can adjust that to whatever you want. Rearm latency bars. This is just a cooldown, meaning you can set this to 5. So once it actually executes a trade, it has to wait 5 candles before it can actually give you another signal. Okay. So I personally use this as a 0 because I want signals back to back if needed, as long as all the confluences are met. But you can play around with it. Popularity inversion just refers to. So if you go back or scroll down to long validation stack, these are basically confluences. L means long. So these are confluences, meaning whatever is checked on this will actually give you a long signal. Okay? But if this is checked, instead of giving a long signal, it will actually generate a short signal, such as this. So this was supposed to be a long signal, but because inversion was checked, it did the opposite. It gave you a short signal. And of course, the opposite for sell signals. So whatever is checked, it will give a sell. But because of inversion being checked, it will give you a buy. Okay? Temporal gate is just another name for time filter. What time do you want it to start taking trades, and what is the end time? I usually don't actually mess with this. I'll tell you why in a bit. Blackout window is means it's basically another name for it will close at the end of the session, and this is beneficial for futures day trader, especially the ones who trades a prop firm, because you will need to close your trade at the end of the session, and I always leave this checked. And I don't really advise changing any of this because it seems like it has been closing just fine before the session ends, but this is completely up to you. You can play with it. So the reason why I don't actually do mass with Temple Gate, because I did added a better time filter option. Okay. So when you check using trading windows, it's going to use this. Session time zone, I usually keep this as is. I don't change it. You can enable evening window, so it will trade with this. You can also flatten, which means it will close the trade at the end of the evening window, which would be this. And then you can also enable overnight window, which will start at 12 o'clock midnight. You can also flatten at the end of overnight, which will flatten by 8 a.m. And then you can enable New York session and flatten at the end of the New York session. I usually leave this unchecked because I want to trade all the sessions continuously. But you can play with it if you want to trade in the Asian or the London or the New York session. Activate bias engine. This is basically just another name for like EMAs or fast link, smooth link. I think primary smooth link is the smooth link. The secondary is known as a fast link. I usually keep this. You can leave this unchecked or checked. That depends up to you. Voluntary envelope span, sigma gain, upper saturation trigger, lower saturation trigger. I don't really mess with this. I usually leave that as default. And then these are the confluences for long trade and the confluences for the short trade. And these are the numbers for the oscillator of the calibration of these two. I don't really change much with these numbers, but you can always experiment with it. Basically, what I usually do is I open up the strategy report. And then what I personally do is I usually just go through each one. For example, I'll uncheck this and see if it increases the PNL, which it actually decreases the PNL. So I'm going to leave that check. And then after that, I'll go down to the second one and see if my PNL increase or decrease. It actually decreased. So I'm going to, obviously leave this unchecked and so forth. I do this for long trades and short trades until I get a really good PNL, low max drawdown, and I like to look at the trades. But like I said, you can experiment with it. You can also trade this on forex as well. So if you do, for example, like USD, JPY, I usually do Yonda. So it'll look something like this. That's because you do actually have to put the point on pips since you're trading forex. So it should look a lot better. And if you go to the strategy report, it gives you this funky number. So you go to properties and you want to change this to USD. So this will change to USD as well. Update report. And then if you're trading, obviously forex like USD JPY, this does go by unit. So if you're trading like a lot size of 0.8, you would need to change this to basically 80,000 because that's the same thing as 0.8 lot size. So update report. So it will look something like this. I think popularity inversion is actually better with uncheck. So see how it gave me the opposite $8,000 P&L with a $400 drawdown within the past couple of months. Let's see how I did the last 7 days. So it's still not bad. So you can just play with it. But of course, when you're actually automating this, you do want to choose the actual lot size. For example, like 0.8. So you can take the loss at 0.8. But if you're gonna look at the report, then you want to change it to 80,000. Just make sure when you do automate this, make sure you do set it up on your lot size, whatever you're comfortable trading with. Okay. And like I said, I don't guarantee results. It can take losing days, losing weeks. Nothing isn't perfect. Don't always rely on the strategy report. I would not go back no more than 90 days. The closer it is to the present date, the more accurate it will show. Um, and also with this, I highly recommend doing a strategy bracket. Hold on, let me go back to MNQ. So if you go to top step, you go to your settings. I put a profit limit of 188 because obviously 47 points. Multiply that by 4 because I'm trading 2 contracts of MNQ. That's basically 188 for take profit. Risk, I think I did 54 points. So I take 54. I just put a risk stop loss of 228, and make sure you do actually check this box as well. So I'll either gain 188 or I will lose 228, and then I put a daily profit limit of times 2 to stop me out at 376 and then stop loss 700. But this is just what I do. That's just my personal preference. And also disclaimer, I don't guarantee results. Trading is always high risk, so always test this on a demo account first. Okay, but that's basically one strategy. Okay, so that's one strategy. So going to my next strategy. This strategy is called the opening range engine. So add that to your screen. So it looks something like this. So basically how I actually set this up, if you go to your settings tab, with this one, I go to style. I like to, like I said, I don't need to see this data. I uncheck that. Visibility, leave everything as is. Style, I like to actually change this to green and make the third line thickness, because obviously whenever it breaks above this, we're going to buy. Buy means green. Opening range low, I like to change this to red because obviously if it breaks below this, we sell. Sell equals red. So that's just the science behind it. Smoother line, I change this to black. Actually, I don't really need to see that, to be honest. EMA, these arrows, they're not needed. I uncheck them. And panel signals, I don't really need to know this. It's common sense, so I uncheck them. So this is what I want to see. And I like to actually make this circles, to be honest. Maybe second line thickness. But this is just personal preference. So that's all I do. Go properties, M&Q for funded. Like I said, I like to use 2 contracts. Evals, I like to use 3. And make sure on bar close, make sure this is checked. And I do check these two for deep back testing, but it's only available on the premium plan. Go to inputs. I think this is actually based on the Chicago time. But since I do live in California, I'm based on PST. So I usually change this to 8. So it does actually take it back further. So opening range duration, you can do 5, 15, 31 hour. I do 15 minutes. Trade direction, you can do long, short. I obviously do both. You can limit trades per day. You can choose 1, 2, 3, whatever you want. Static, take profit, stop loss mode. You can choose static ticks or risk to reward ratio. And you can adjust your stop loss and ticks, your take profit and ticks. Risk to reward, you can do 1, 1.5, up to 2. You can also enable trailing stop loss there as well. Trade only in sessions. I usually check this. And it's going to be at 8:30 a.m. because I think this is based on the Chicago time. That's why. And enable, I like to keep this unchecked. I didn't really find this helpful on leaving this checked. You can also use EMA exit as well. So if you click OK, so this table right there, it does actually keep track how many trades it take today in your P&L for the day, which is negative 100. If you do strategy report, if you go back, so it's actually not that good. So you probably want to actually adjust this a little bit. Maybe want to do 2 trades. It's actually a little bit better now. But maybe 50 and 50 maybe. So yeah, it's a little bit better. So P&L 1.3. So you just want to actually experiment with it and actually test it. I don't really trade opening range. I did in the past. It did work pretty well for me. But if you want to actually, obviously you want to demo test this. But it does actually take trades based on the breakouts, not really on the retests. But a couple of my members in the Discord has been having success with this. So this may or may not work for you, but it can actually be really profitable. But you just want to actually play with it until you can find the best settings for it. Or you can probably, let's see, 30. Or let's try risk to reward. So yeah. But anyways, that's just one strategy. Um, so yeah, you can play with it. But this is what it basically looks like. And you can easily automate this if you want. So like this one, it actually broke. It took a long trade, exited. So you just want to find the best settings. Like it broke, exited, and so forth. So yeah. So I'm going to delete this. So the other strategy is called the gravity Stratos. So if you add that to your screen, so it will look something like this. This is an indicator. It's not a strategy, but you can also automate the strategy as well if you want. I find this to be better on Rankos, and you do need the premium plan for the Rankos. And you have to do this on the 1 second data as well. So if you look at this one, so if you go to your sitting style, same thing. I like to uncheck that. I don't really need these buy and sell labels on it. It's up to you. And then I like to actually make this fourth level thickness. And this one, second level thickness. And first, I like to actually have these two check. And then you can customize the gravity line as well. Deviation, I like to keep this at 6.8. On this one, I probably want to keep this as that. But that's basically my setup. But like I said, you can experiment with it, do whatever you want with it. So basically, our Rankos are you need this on the premium plan. Rankos just measures price movement; they do not measure time. And I keep this on traditional box as 5. Box as 5 meaning it has to move basically 5 points in order for a brick to print. So like every box is basically 5 points. So obviously, if I'm trading 2 contracts of, obviously let's do just 1 contract of M and Q. So every box. So if we take basically like 5 points multiplied by 2. So basically every box represents $10 of movement. So so if all the ribbons turns green, like all this turns green, it's also above the gravity line. So I probably would have entered the trade right there, and I probably would have rode it all the way until it printed red brick. So that would have been basically 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. So that probably would have banked me $90 on one contract of MNQ. So imagine, obviously, that's two. That's gonna be $180. So that's how I personally trade it. In 1 second, you also need a premium plan to do 1 second. 1 second just means it checks on price every 1 second. And I would not do no more than 5 seconds. But you cannot really. Rankos are useless if it's been more than 24 hours. So obviously you cannot really scroll back and see the data because those will not be accurate as well. Or you can, obviously you can also trade. You can also trade if it breaks below this midline, and you can actually take profit once it reaches this bottom band. It just really depends on the trade, or if it picks up above this bottom band, you can, exit the trade at the midline. So it just depends on your trading style and person preference, and this can be automated if you're using the ConFlux indicator, which I'll show you in a bit. So that's how I personally trade Gravity Stratos, but this is more on manual trading rather than automation trading. Okay. And the next one is the quantum trend. The quantum trend is almost similar to the gravity stratos. So same rules does apply. Still, this is an indicator, not a strategy, but you can easily automate this as well, but it's meant for manual trading. So same thing, I uncheck this box. I don't really need these labels, so I'm gonna actually uncheck them as well. I might keep this combined buy, combined sell. Then I'm gonna uncheck that. Go to inputs. I prefer this to be on close. Gravity line period. I check this. I may change this to 9. In this, I may change that to 5 for the velocity bands. And same rule does apply. Oh, hold on. Input style tab. Uncheck these two as well. So same rule does apply. This is just an example. So it gave me a buy signal. So buy is when it's above this gravity line and when the quantum trend turns green. So above this line, quantum trend all turns green. I enter if I buy position and I may actually ride it all the way up until it breaks off the gravity line. So that's how I personally trade. So I probably be able to capitalize on this trade right there, capitalize on this trade, but obviously it can still give you losing trades. Like this is, it chops you up at this point. You may lose a couple of trades there, chop you up. So I think like this one would have been a really nice trade. You could have wrote it down to the bottom. This does work on Raker candlesticks as well, but I prefer it on Rinkos. Like this would have been a really beautiful trade, and you would have capitalized on this entire movement. Let's until it breaks the gravity line, which is at that point. So yeah, not really much to say about that, but like I said, you can experiment with the settings until what works best for you. I did actually trade the quantum trend as well as the gravity shadows manually before last year, and I did pass eval accounts. Basically using this method, but like I said, I don't really do manual trading anymore. I only do automation, so that's why I don't really trade quantum trend or the gravity stratos. But if you're a manual trader, you can absolutely trade them. I used to before in the past, and I did pass eval accounts and got really good payouts from that with my other accounts. But that was before I shifted to automation trading. So, and this will be available in the Legacy Prime, which will be $30 per month. But there is a 7-day free trial. But there will be no refunds. All sales will be final after purchase. But you do get access to Quantum Trend, Opening Range, Gravity Stratos, and the Flux Engine version 2.0 that will be available. And you do get access to the Discord community as well, and also my coaching, my mentorship. because I'm only assisting traders who are actually subscribed. But you can also get the base plan as well. Before it used to be called ConFlux, but I'll be changing the name to just the base plan. So this does come with the ConFlux indicator. So let's add the Drift Algo X indicator to the screen. Um, the link for the Drift Algo X will be in my description. And then I'll add the ConFlux indicator to my screen as well. So it'll look something like this. So what you want to do, go to your ConFlux, settings tab, style tab. I uncheck this box. Properties, M&Q, same rules apply. G2 contracts for M&Q. I check this and these two as well. Confidence requirement is single. So I keep this a single long signal one. I do shift algo X by signal only. Short signal one, I keep this as shift algo X sell signal only. And then make sure you enable long one, enable long two. Using trading windows, you can also adjust this if you want New York evening or London session, but I keep this on check. I leave all this on check. Exit method, I do indicate exit. Then indicate exit, I choose this take profit for long TP, long SL. I choose stop loss, and same thing, short TP. I choose take profit, short SL. It's basically the exact same, stop loss. And then that's all I do. Click OK. Go back to this Shift Algo X style tab. I uncheck this box as well. I don't really need these buy or sell labels because I already have these strategy signals. Long entry, I uncheck this. I also uncheck this as well. And I like to keep this at third level thickness. But that's personal preference. And I like to keep this 50% shaded. And when you do the ConFlux, same thing, no refunds, all sales will be final, and there will be no free trial with the ConFlux either. But you do get access to my Discord group as well, and also my coaching mentorship too. But you do get access to the ConFlux indicator as well as the smart money concept indicator, which I will show you here in a few minutes. And they click OK. Sometimes I may trade on the 5 minute. Sometimes I may trade on the 1 minute time frame. I go back and forth with these. Go to the settings tab, inputs. I trade sometimes on the 5, sometimes on 15. I go back and forth. But for this example, let's do 5 minutes. So back test 91%. So it's telling me multiplier 7, pair 12. And I do change them daily. Risk to reward, I keep this as 1. EMA, keep it as 300. Calculate bars, I keep it at 5,000. So let me show you some examples. And I do trade this 100% on automation. And you see it took a short trade. It hit TP. See another one. All the links will be all in my description, by the way. So see, took a short, exited the trade. See, it took a short again, it exited the trade. So took a long, look, exited the trade. And if you look at the strategy report, let's go last 7 days. You see 91.67, it won 11 out of 12 trades. See 91.67, profit factor 9.7, P&L 5, almost 6K, drawdown almost 800. And if you go back 7 days, it's still pretty good. That's on 2 contracts of M&Q. Let's do last 30 days. So C5, 1K, 81%. So Shift Algo X is one of my favorite indicators. I'm still using it on my personal cash account, Trader8. So I highly recommend getting started Algo X. When it comes to automation videos, I'm not gonna go over through how to automate. Um, I do have automation videos on my YouTube channel. You can always check out on how to actually automate them. And also for the my newest indicator I'll be releasing pretty soon. It's called the Legacy Smart Money Concept. This will be included with the ConFlux. If you do get the base plan, it's only $15 per month. It's pretty cheap. So if you hide these two and look at these, same thing. I don't want to see this extra data, but I'm releasing Legacy Smart Money Concept Indicator. This is just a sneak preview. I'll probably be releasing it this weekend. But you see these labels. So when you see solid lines like this, those are string structures. So they're going to be more significant. Dotted lines meaning they're internal structures. Now, obviously, red meaning it's bearish, and obviously green meaning it's bullish. And buy labels is basically when it's above the trend line. Okay. So you see it took a buy and see it's above the trend line. You can also automate this as well. And you can probably maybe add it with the smart money concept. So if you go to ConFlux, you can add a double confluence. And then make sure you do have to enable long signal 2 and also enable short 2. And then you can also switch to smart money concepts. Let's say you want to do a buy as signal number 2 and short signal number 2, you want to do a sell, okay? And then hit OK and then just update. That's just an example. So see 997, so 2 winning trades. And that's just within the last 30 days, but that's just giving an example. Let's do the last 90 days. So last 90 days, it won all 4 trades, 1.7K with 275 drawdown. So you can play with it, experiment with it. And that's gonna be all in this video. And if you find this video helpful, just leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.